everyone. My name is Dr. Jamie Johnson. I am the Interim Director for the School of Law Enforcement and Justice Administration. And welcome to WIU Inside the System, sponsored by Western Illinois University. Today, we have a special treat for you today. We currently have in the studio Judge Pat Walton. She has had a tremendous career, 40 years practicing law. That is absolutely tremendous. Was it 25 years as a judge, and for the last 6 years has been an assistant professor and our grad coordinator within our program. Judge Walton, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Jamie.
It's nice to see you today. So how's your day going today?
My day is going very well, thanks.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So here's what we're going to be doing. The whole goal of this right now is to get to know you. Students, specifically during recruitment, have all stated going, we see your faculty profiles, and many of them, here's what they'll say, they're in awe, and here's what they all say. They want to be one of you at some point in time. So the goal is to get to know you, okay, as we go. So I'm going to be asking you a series of questions. I may have you expand on a few questions if that's okay. And let's go ahead and start off, right? All right, so Pat, how did you get into your chosen field? First, you are the only judge within my entire unit, so that is phenomenal. That's step one. How'd you get there?
Thanks. Well, it was kind of a, one of those meandering roads like a lot of people do. But I had the fortune to spend a semester in Washington, D.C. in college, during which time we met with a lot of agencies, a lot of senators, lawmakers, the Pentagon. I mean, we went all over the place. And that's when it really cemented for me it's a cool career. Everybody's a lawyer here. Everybody's doing different things. So you can make it what you want to be.
Cool. So for DC, did you ever think about going into politics?
Not politics.
Okay.
I interned for Congresswoman Marge Rockema, who was from New Jersey.
Okay.
And I also interned at the American Bankers Association. I had job offers from both, so that was my dilemma. Do I stick with the law school route? Do I hold off, work here? But the other thing I noticed about DC is everybody's so transitory. I mean, people come and go and come and go and come and go. I grew up in a very small town, where you knew everybody, and I just thought, I don't know if that's a lifestyle I want to stick with.
I got it. And you talk about the diversity. Can you give us a few ideas? Like if someone's thinking, I want to go to law school, doesn't mean they have to be a lawyer, doesn't mean they have to be a judge. Can you give us a few ideas of what you were talking about with the diversity line?
Sure. When I first went to law school, what I really loved was the writing, and I thought, I don't know if I want to be in a courtroom, which is pretty funny today.
Yeah, exactly.
But I thought maybe I'd prefer to do legal writing, work for an appellate court judge, work for a legal publication. And then I ended up marrying somebody from McDonough County. Well, there's not a lot of publishing houses locally.
Understood.
And that was pretty, pre-internet. So I decided, well, I'll give, trial work a call. So the thing you can change as to where you are, what you have available. But yeah, you can, you can be a sports agent and be an attorney. Whatever your interest truly is, you can have law as part of that.
Okay. Here's a question a lot of students ask, the LSAT. Can you describe what the LSAT actually tests, and how did you prep for it?
Oh, you don't want to hear that.
Yes, I do.
So the LSAT, at the time I took it, there weren't all the study courses available. My friends and I just signed up for it and went and took it.
So you didn't even study?
No.
Wow. Okay.
LSAT is about logic and how you think. You have to be an analytical, logical thinker. So it's good to do practice tests, But I mean, in my law school class, we had somebody who had been a pre-med major. We had a theater major.
Cool.
We had an engineer. So it's just, you have to have that analytical ability as opposed to any other knowledge. So it doesn't test you on legal questions.
Got it. Understood. All right. Okay. Can you also outline all of the degrees that you have? Like, what did you start out with in undergrad, and how did you progress?
So my undergraduate degree, I had a major in political science and business administration with a minor in history.
Wow. Okay.
And then went on to law school. You can specialize a little bit in regard to the classes you take, but it was just a general law degree where you cover all areas of the law.
Okay. All righty. Any interesting stories throughout your training that you could tell us? Maybe one or two?
I don't know. Law school, nose to the grindstone. Your first year is pretty intimidating, and so you don't really know if you've got it figured out because you only have final exams. You don't have any grades up until finals, and so it's a little stressful. So you spend most of your first year really studying, and then I picked up part-time work for my in between the next 2 years. So
wow.
I would say most of my time was spent working and studying.
So basically, it's a test-heavy profession.
It's not so much test
Okay.
but a lot of writing.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's not like we think of maybe as a, computer-generated multiple choice short answer. Everything that they call the blue books.
Yes.
So yes, and
Yes, I
so
remember.
you have the blue books, and you have to write your responses. I'm not sure how they do it today. I'm sure it's all on the computer, but at the time you had to write and write and write.
So I'm assuming you're still a good writer. Okay, all right. This is a big one, and I know a lot of students ask this specifically when they're coming in. They're going to make mistakes. We know this. A freshman coming in is going to struggle with the class, or they're going to fail a test, right? Okay. Can you describe, for students watching this, professionals watching this, right, what was one of your biggest failures or experiences, and how'd you overcome it?
Wow. Well, I've had, a lot of failures.
Me too, but
along the way. And some of them change your direction as to, where you want to go or what you want to do. Nothing as, terrible as, they pull you in and say, we don't think you should be here. But
Well,
just,
that's good,
yeah.
right?
But, some things were, you might have not identified precisely what you were supposed to be doing and got a little off the mark. But later in life too, there's just failures along the way. Western, I had applied to teach here full time years ago, and
Really?
was not hired, which was a blessing because I never would have become a judge had I been hired to teach.
Yeah.
So, some things happen for a reason. You just don't know. So if door number 1 shuts, then you look for door number 2 or 3.
I agree with you 1,000%. Hard though at the time because
Oh
you're
yeah,
like,
it's devastating, right? It
Yeah,
can
it's
be
like-
devastating.
you're like, oh, I worked so hard and I didn't get accepted for that, or this didn't work out. I know that's my issue, right? Okay, so.
Right. You got to let it go and move on.
And that is really, really tough to do. This question is, the next one we got is one I've been asked a ton, okay, specifically by people coming in, by parents, and here it's coming to you, okay, right? If you could tell your 18-year-old self, okay, anything, would you change any part of your experience in training, or what advice would you give your 18-year-old self to do better?
To do better, I would say relax and
Relax,
enjoy. Yes, something that you need to work on.
Oh yeah, here it comes.
But maybe enjoy life
Yeah.
more along the way. Sometimes we're so driven to accomplish things and that we forget to take time. So I would say maybe work on having that balance particularly people who are going into, want to be in the big law firms, downtown Chicago, where the associates have to churn out, hundreds of hours a year. I mean, you have to decide, is that worth it in the long run? What do you want to achieve? Or can you achieve, this same thing, what I liked about small town practice is, you get to know your clients, you see them out in the community, they like to engage in conversation, you keep up on their families, their kids.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm not sure you know that when you're in a big firm as much.
Got it.
So it's all
I
about those
understand
connections, I think.
Well, and I think too, you brought up stress, and definitely sometimes we have it, correct? Okay. And that balance, for myself, I know that's been very, very difficult. So it's like, I used to make comments, my wife would attest to this, once I get through this next job or project, it will get what? Better. Okay, right?
But there's always another one around the corner.
That's exactly
Yes.
it. And it's like, even I can see the pathway going, oh my goodness, I've got to learn that, okay? But it's been difficult. And I know that every person who has sat in that seat has had a very similar process. And of course, handle it all differently, but again, we're all stating, we got to relax more. And I think that's absolutely critical. And again, telling a student who's just coming in the program to relax more is kind of humorous, but it is absolutely true.
Well, finding that balance. I think students oftentimes go one way or the other. They're too stressed and they spend all their time in academics, or they're more in the, I'm going to enjoy college life while I can, and they don't spend enough time. So, you need to do things that you can balance. And, it's important to find employers that support. My first employer was a fanatic about working. I would get calls 2 a.m., 3 a.m. when he'd be awake thinking at things at night of things I needed to do. And that's a whole different lifestyle.
Yes, and that puts stress on multiple levels of your life, okay, when that's taking place.
Absolutely.
But no, I think that is huge that we've got. Now, next question, okay? I want 3 people who you believe was the most influential in your life to make you.
I would say, my parents, in particular my father, and not for the reasons you might think. My dad was an educator.
Really?
But he had a different perspective as to gender roles. And so a lot of things that we would discuss, and I would say, well, I would like to do that. And he'd say, well, why would you want to do that? Okay, thank you, I'm going to do that. Sometimes it was, I'm thinking of going to law school. Well, why, So in a way, he kind of influenced me by just me taking that, and reinforcing that I knew the route I wanted to take. Okay. My mom was more of the behind-the-scenes supporter.
Understand
that would, and then I'm in between 2 brothers. So my older brother was pretty influential in that he, brought me along to a lot of things, and was very supportive as well.
Okay. Now I have a question. Is anyone else in your family in the legal system?
No. I was the first one in my family.
Wow.
My older brother was a geologist, and my younger brother is an airline repair and fabricator.
Really? And your father was an educator, right?
My father was an educator.
Like high school, elementary, college?
Junior high and high school. He was a history and phys ed teacher and principal for a number of years.
That's huge. All right. Okay, that's excellent. Also, too, I don't know this. I'm going to ask this, right? Are you originally from the Midwest, or are you originally like East Coast, West Coast, South? Where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Midwest. I'm originally from a small town in Michigan.
Okay.
1,200 people. So you don't get it. I say my parents did a good job because I lived in that bubble for quite a while where you're oblivious to everything that's going on. A lot of bad things that are happening in the world. I call that a good childhood, but it also did not expose you to a lot, like career paths and different opportunities. So that's why, to me, Washington, D.C. was such a big event for me, because it got me out there to see, what happens out in the big world, not just in the small areas.
Now, you had mentioned earlier that you had worked, say, with some of the politicians, and you've also worked, let's say, with the DoD, or with some individuals there. What were the difference of personalities between those groups? Do you believe that at your time that they got along pretty well, that you can understand both groups pretty well based off your training? What were your thoughts of those individuals or different entities?
I mean, I thought they got along pretty well. I mean, it was a much more relaxed atmosphere.
Wow.
when we would visit.
Yeah.
For instance, I mean, the one thing I never forget was Supreme Court Judge Harry Blackmun met us at an apartment and ate pizza with us. I mean,
That is huge.
yeah, and it was cool.
Well, yeah.
And we're all just sitting around like, wow. But the knowledge that these are real people.
Yeah.
I mean, they're beyond that black robe. So it was just a very eye-opening experience.
Well, I do not know if that currently happens today, but one thing is, it sounds like with that experience, it just gave you access to people who were some of the most powerful entities within your profession, which I think would be phenomenal.
Sure.
Okay, specifically for you or for any student going forward. I think that'd be huge. Okay, so you kind of touched on this, but I'm going to switch it a little bit. Here's the question. What's the one piece of advice you would give someone starting out in your field? Now, you kind of answered that, okay, right? But I want to know, would you state, besides the balance, right, the focus on education, the focus on, let's say, fraternities, sororities, when I say fraternities, honorary fraternities and sororities, or would you focus on, say, field experience? Out of those three entities, how would you rank them? Would you rank field experience as being, say, that's going to be the most important thing that you get? Would you say the classroom experience is going to be the most important thing you get? Or say social will be the most important thing you get? I'm making you rank it.
I don't think I would rank them. I would probably put them at the same level.
Oh, we're cheating a little bit.
Yeah.
Just have fun.
That's a good judge, right? So, because you have to balance it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you're in college. Academics is important. Probably number one.
Yeah.
Particularly in law enforcement areas of the law, getting that field experience can help you find direction, but being in the different clubs or honor societies helps you make those connections that can serve you for the rest of your life. So, I mean, they all have value.
I got it. I like the response. That was good. Okay. Tell me one thing that you simply did not expect to ever happen, or whatever it is, within your career. And that could be undergrad, it could be with law school, it could be being a lawyer, or it could be in being a judge, because I know they're different. So, in fact, hold off on that one for a second. I got some questions on that. Hold off for a second. I want you first telling me what you didn't expect in your university time, whether that be undergrad or law school. I want you to answer that one first.
I think some of it was simply, as I said, I came from a very small town. I really didn't know what to expect when I went to college. And I guess I wasn't prepared for some of the students who took that social life as number one.
Got it.
I just was, surprised, like, we're all here, we're all attending college. This is like a big deal, particularly when you're paying for it yourself. Huge.
I got it.
So I was surprised at some of the attitudes, but I also, I met a lot of great people. The fact that the professors were also interested in student success.
Yeah.
That was a pleasant thing to learn too. It wasn't just, you're here. I just think sometimes in high school, teachers get more tuned out the longer they're there. And I found in college it was
Similar.
Not, but more, no, I think that true interest, and
Good.
so that was easier to form connections with professors than with high school teachers, as far as asking for advice.
Good.
Having a mentor.
I got it. That's excellent. That's excellent. Okay, so now, what didn't you expect about being a lawyer and being a judge? I want those separated out, because a student coming in, obviously, they think they know a lot about lawyers, and we'll get into that in a second, and they think they know a lot about judges. What didn't you expect, or something that shocked you about being that lawyer or being that judge?
As I said, I wasn't sure I wanted to be in the courtroom to begin with, so that was a little transition for me. My first employer was one of those throw you in and see if you can swim.
Okay.
Which might not have been the best way to go, but it was a learning experience. I always think, when you join a firm, you should have a mentor within the firm who kind of steers you around the process,
Okay.
because you gain a lot of legal knowledge, but you don't have a lot of practical knowledge. My best friends were in the circuit clerk's office, because nobody teaches you how to file paperwork, petitions, where you have to go to get certain information. So the courthouse employees are always phenomenal with, this is what you do until you get a little experience, and then you help other people along the way. So I guess it's kind of twofold. One, getting in the courtroom for that first time is pretty scary experience, even though it was a relatively minor matter. And then two, realizing how much you don't know, even though you pass the bar and you're like, okay, I have more stuff crammed in my head now than I'm ever going to have in the rest of my life. And then you feel like, how did I not know this? I didn't know you needed 3 copies of whatever, and so the practicality of it is something that's a little overlooked.
Okay. What about being a judge?
Being a judge, I think, initially, just some of the cases that show up on your calendar, in a way, I think we're lucky here, because in a rural area, we have to learn as judges how to handle every type of case. We don't have that same ability as somebody in Cook County who specializes. So they know everything there is to know about a certain area of the law. They might, practice in estate work, or they might just handle felonies, or they might, whatever that might be, they're very specialized. And you can go from handling a murder case in the morning to a small claims case in the afternoon, then to a divorce case. So you have to juggle.
Okay.
And I wouldn't say you know everything about it, but you know enough, and you read a lot as you go along.
That's really good. So, real quick, just for the audience, and of course people are trying to figure out what they want to do, right? Can you define what the lawyer does? Bear with, okay? And then define what the judge does within the court system. And then also, if you're willing to tell us, what type of lawyer were you specifically before you became a judge?
Sure. I'll start with that first. When I first started practice, I worked for an attorney who concentrated on constitutional issues.
Okay.
So I learned a lot as far as constitutional areas of the law. When I left that office, I went to another office in shared office space and primarily practiced in family law and juvenile law.
Okay.
So, the attorney depends upon what area you're in. Are you a prosecutor? Are you defense counsel? Are you in private practice? And that's what I always tell students. You have to decide what interests you the most. Do you want to work with people on a daily basis, or would you rather work on transactional activity and see clients occasionally, but mostly be working in your office without that constant interaction. If you're working on particularly family law, I mean, you get phone calls all the time, day in and day out, because everybody is emotional about things crop up, there's issues, so you're always fielding phone calls. Some of the other areas of law, it's a little quieter.
Okay, I like that. Well, and it's interesting too, because as you're hearing you explain it, it really is fitting a lot of different students' personality types.
Absolutely.
Because we got some that are massive, let's keep it simple, introverts, right? And they're like, I don't want to be talking to people. So they could still do it. And of course, it could probably fit that extrovert who wants to be engaged and deal with people all day long. And it also, too, I like the difference how you broke it up between rural and urban. And it sounds like in the rural area, you just simply have to be so diversified, okay, in what you are doing and what you're handling. Versus in the urban setting, if I'm wrong, let me know, they are fully specified in their area, and that's their main focus, correct?
Correct.
Right,
Correct.
So, all right, that's good. That's a good overview.
So, I mean, I'm an introvert, and yet I had no problem handling a courtroom because I think you know what you need to do, you enjoy the process, and you want to make sure everybody's rights are upheld. So, now I have to say it's probably more emotionally draining for an introvert than for an extrovert because for many extroverts, particularly being trial lawyers, it's almost like a performance, right? Yeah. I mean, they're convincing a judge or a jury and they're in their element. But I think either can do it, introvert or extrovert. I do want to say as far as, once you're a judge, you can... For instance, my passion was juvenile cases, and that's where I found the most interest and the most reward in my work. And so, honestly, didn't have a lot of competition with other judges because most of them felt the other way, that they didn't want to spend their time with juveniles. For them, handling a murder case is the, top of a career. So I was lucky enough, I was sent by the state to go to advanced training, actually 2 times, and spent a lot of time with juveniles and working, trying to improve our system. Illinois does not have a good system.
Got it.
So
what do you think Illinois could do to have a better system?
That's a good question. McDonough County worked, we did a couple things. I helped bring the CASA program to McDonough County, court-appointed special advocate, which pairs a trained adult with a family in the abuse and neglect system.
Correct.
That is very helpful in regard to providing information to the court and the attorneys regarding the welfare of the children in the family. I think that helps. The state is very interested in improving outcomes and has done a lot of statistical analysis, trying to figure best practices. But I think it all boils down to the particular county, their interest, and they're willing to provide appropriate funding. For instance, when, and I'm not sure if it's the same today, but Sangamon County, Springfield, only held juvenile court one day a week.
Oh, wow.
One day. Which to me is a sign they don't find that area of law to be of high value.
Got it.
Because in Macomb, I mean, we would have 2 days a week just for our small county. So a lot comes from leadership. Where are we going to devote our resources as far as judges and court time? And and the director of DCFS is a revolving door, so we can't get consistent leadership.
Understood. That's good. Okay. All right. This is kind of like our fun question here, okay, right? Common myth about either being a lawyer or being a judge. And the reason I'm bringing this up is my wife watches, what is that show? Law and Order. I don't know if you've ever heard of it before.
I've heard of it.
Okay, so
I don't watch it, but I've heard of it.
Okay. The question I have is, because a lot of students are coming in, they're watching all these shows, lawyers and judges and that kind of stuff, right? Do you know if any of those shows, number one, or any of those myths, okay, that you hear out there are even going to be real? So TV wants to portray it a certain way. What's the reality check?
I mean, I think a lot of the TV shows, they take things from real cases and use as their plot or storyline,
Yeah.
but they don't necessarily play it out as it would, obviously, in a courtroom.
Got it.
Because, I mean, people, and I had somebody once, I had a small claims in Fulton County, and usually small claims, the parties represent themselves, they're pro se. And so it was over a rental of an apartment and the conditions in which it was left when the tenant moved out. And the owner came in with a bag from the vacuum cleaner and slapped it on the table, and poof, all this debris and dust and dirt came out. And I said, "Excuse me, ma'am, you can't. And she goes, "Well, I saw it on TV. It was okay on TV." So yeah, people have misconceptions based upon that. I think the other one is that attorneys are all sharks. They're soulless. They have no ethics, and unfortunately, there are examples in every profession of someone who has taken the wrong path. But most of the attorneys I know would help somebody out in a heartbeat, that would take a case pro bono, volunteer to help certain clubs or activities. They're very generous with their time and their money, but it's just huge. A few. And then the judge thing, I mean, I had people say, "Well, you don't look like a judge." And I would
what's
say,
a judge supposed to look
"That's
like?"
exactly what I would say." What? So people had a hard time getting around that.
I think you'll laugh at this. I don't even know if you've seen this movie, My Cousin Vinny. Have you ever seen it?
Yes.
Okay. We've seen, okay, good. Okay, right. That's my exposure. It would have came down to lawyers and stuff like that, right? Did anything in that movie have anything right?
They did, actually.
Okay. I've
used it for my classes occasionally. Some of the presentation of evidence and the cross-examination.
Really?
Yeah, they did a good job with that.
What about dress? When I say dress, what's the standard? Is there a standard dress that you have to do?
The standard of dress, I feel, has gotten much more relaxed.
Really? Okay.
It used to be pretty stringent. When I first started practicing law, I mean, women had to be, in suits. In some places, the hemline had to reach a cerand length. I mean, they were very particular, and I thought it was interesting how women dressed. And it's evolved, which I think is a good thing. I don't think perhaps it should go maybe as far. I mean, I had attorneys show up in cowboy boots and blue jeans. No, that's not appropriate for the courtroom. And then, people who were there for their court cases are also, wear their fuzzy slippers and sweatpants and, no. So I think we have a society have allowed a lot of that. I mean, the line I would draw was if it was offensive T-shirt. I mean, if the T-shirt was saying something that was totally offensive, then they either had to come back another day or change their T-shirt, put it inside out.
Understanding. One thing I actually liked about the movie. Okay, I want this absolutely clear, but I did like it. It kind of matched what you're saying. Is passed the bar, and was still trying to learn. And learning on the job and trying to do stuff. And his mentor was not there, and he kept kind of crashing and burning slightly. And I think that is a process of it. We never arrive, right? Okay, we're always going to be students literally to the day we die. And I think that's just an excellent motto that you discussed. So.
Well, and that's what's so great about the law is you never know what your day's going to be. You never know what client's going to walk in the door or come in the courtroom. The law is ever changing, so you have to continue to learn. So if you like routine, law is probably not the best thing for you.
Got it.
If you can have some flexibility and see a lot, work with gray areas, then it's just a very interesting career. And as the law exam, I mean, some people don't pass it the first time either, and I think they should, obviously it's devastating, but keep working. Some people are terrible test takers, and it just takes more practice and the ability to relax and go with it, and they're going to get it the next time or even the next time. There's like no cap on how many times you can take the bar exam.
Well, that's good news. That's helpful, I will be honest with you. Okay, have you ever had to discipline a lawyer within your courtroom, okay, or let's say a person there pleading a case at some point, okay? And how did you handle that?
Oh, yes. The attorney one that comes to mind was an attorney. There were companion cases. So there was a case in juvenile court and a case in either divorce or family court.
Okay.
So the attorney in family court obtained copies of records from juvenile court and attached them to his pleadings. Juvenile court, everything is confidential and protected. You have to have a court order to release those documents to anyone other than the parties, and so that attorney should have requested to the court, can I disclose this information? So yeah, that was not a good situation to be in, and he frankly didn't think he did anything wrong. But
So now what kind of penalty would they get? Can they get a fine? Can they?
I mean, you can make a finding of contempt for disobeying the orders of the court. In that particular case, he was ordered to complete training on the Juvenile Court Act because he did not practice in juvenile court. So, I mean, and then he had to provide his certificate of completion as a way to purge his contempt.
Defendants? Anything like that?
Defendants, it's a very emotional time it can be in court, and so mostly it's words, what things they'll say, accusations, obscenities, and so they're given warnings, and if they persist in their conduct, then they can be held in contempt as well. Okay. For them, generally, it's going to be spending time in jail.
Oh, okay, that sounds lovely.
But you try to diffuse it. I mean, a lot of it is. It's never a good feeling to have somebody have to go to jail, but if they're, and other things like people coming drunk to court, just things that are inappropriate and interfere with the operation of the court system and serving justice. I mean, you can't let that fester in the courtroom.
I had to ask. Okay, so professional mentor. Who was, or they could be a couple, but who in your mind was the best professional mentor throughout your entire training? And it could be a couple.
Well, it kind of evolved over time because your position. So when I first started practicing law, Gail Carper took me under her wing and introduced me to everyone, and helped to steer me in the right direction. And then when I became a judge, some of my fellow judges, but in particular, Judge Charles Wilhelm in Fulton County, because he was stuck with me for 5.5 years when I first started.
Stuck with you. Look at this.
Well, but a newbie, and then I had zillions of questions, and he never said to me, "I don't have time for this," but it was always, "What do you need? What can I help you with?" So yeah, all my fellow judges were helpful, but I would say Judge Wilhelm. And then also, interestingly, I met another female judge at New Judges School, Judge Elizabeth Robb, who actually was from Macomb.
Really?
But she was in the 11th Circuit in Bloomington.
Okay.
And so we would kind of, every time we were at the same place for a seminar or some training, she was always a good ear with help and recommendations. So as time went on, you know, more people serve in that role.
I don't think there's going to be a person ever who says so they didn't have a mentor. Someone always broke the ice or said, take my hand, and kind of walked you through it. I know I've had positions where I didn't have that mentor and I was crashing into everything, and people show kindness as you start to do it. But no, I think that's absolutely huge. Okay, so now, the next series of questions are going to be a rapid fire questions, and there's just going to be a few. Just a few, okay, right? The reason why rapid fires come in is because we've had students state, hey, these would be interesting questions that they would like you to answer, all right? So, and I may have you elaborate on something, all right, once you've answered it, okay? So, these are student-led questions, so some of them are going to be silly, all right, so as we go through. Real quick, all you got to tell me is this, dog or cat? Which one do you like?
Dog.
Okay, what's your favorite type of dog?
It depends on which ones I have, but.
Oh, and how about this? How many dogs have you had?
Don't ask me how many
At once?
I've had.
I'll make it easier for you.
8 at once.
8 at once?
Yeah.
Wow.
I have 4. I have 4 currently.
4 currently, right? Okay. So big dogs, little dogs, does it matter?
Well, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, so you're definitely not a cat person then.
I'm learning to like cats. I
love that. That's good. Yeah.
You know, we gifted my parents a cat for their anniversary, and so I have learned to like cats, but dogs are my preference.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, next question. What is your favorite color?
My favorite color would be teal blue.
Teal blue. Now, for people who don't know, I'm profoundly colorblind. So teal blue, can you describe what the color that is actually?
Kind of a greeny blue.
Okay. And here's the next question. Is it going to be like a pale color or a dark color?
Just a brighter.
Brighter. Got it. All righty. Okay. I'm going to throw one in here because I'm curious. Okay, this one, right? What is the last book you read?
Last book I read was probably one to my granddaughter, so.
Okay, that's good. I remember.
Yeah, that's probably been it for a little while. But I mean, I've got tons of books.
Oh, I got it. Understand. What is your favorite hobby?
My favorite hobby would be actually construction.
Really?
Home construction. I'm very active in Habitat for Humanity. I'm a good demo person. I'm not so skilled. I'm not so skilled at putting it all back together.
Understood.
But I enjoy that. Actually, when I was a judge, I was in charge of remodeling 2 courtrooms, and so I got to plan, pick materials. Yeah, it was kind of fun. So 2 of the 3 courtrooms in Macomb are things that
That's huge. That's huge.
But mine is I'm more into the historic end, so.
Got it.
You know, a lot of things, these courthouses, they've stripped them of all their character and history, and we tried to put that back into, instead of the 1970s paneling, try to go back to the wainscoting, and so it was fun.
I love it. Well, Judge Walton, I want to thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for you inviting me.
I appreciate that. So, all right, everyone, this concludes our episode with Judge Walton. And again, just as a reminder, we have upcoming episodes within Inside the System. And we thank you for taking the time to watch us today. Have a good day.